Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'm your host, Lonnie from Horror Heaven77. And, well, today is my birthday. And I thought that since today being my birthday, originally my plan was I was going to, review one of my all time favorite movies. But then all of a sudden it hit me. Why not? I know I keep saying the word birthday, but it's like, since today is my birthday, why not review one of the horror movies that have birthday in the title? And of course, the first go to would be Happy Birthday to Me, but then again, too, I wasn't sure if, somebody had already reviewed that one, but I went ahead and decided with this 1981 shocker, Bloody Birthday. The director, Ed Hunt, co writer director Ed Hunt, who also did the movie The Brain. Um, I remember, okay, yeah, I watched this movie when I was pretty young. It came out in 81, but I don't think I saw it till a couple of years later, pretty much at a time when I wasn't supposed to be watching these movies anyway, but I was still watching it. But yeah, I like this movie, and this was a childhood favorite of mine. And this was, this was just the first time I saw this. This was back when I was a little kid, and of course, this was back in the old days, back in the prehistoric era when we had video renting stores and things like that. And my mother, she would just go and just rent a bunch of stuff. She would just rent whatever she could. And once she found out that I had a taste for horror movies, she would pretty much just anything that was out there, she would get her hands on, and I would watch it. So. And I remember coming across this one. I remember being particularly taken with this one because it was surprising. The story is about three kids, Debbie, Curtis, and Steven, and they're born on the same day, and it turns out that they're born during a solar eclipse, which, they think that might have something to do with the way these kids, come out in life. But so they're, it's in 1970. Then by 1980, they're 10 years old. It's 10 years later. And then we have, what's the character? I'm sorry. Joyce and her little brother, Timmy. Okay. Now, the three kids, we find out that they're starting to kill people, and they're kind of like in sync in a way. And they're just kind of going out, basically being kind of like Michael Myers in a roundabout way. They're just going out like, I think it's, Curtis is the one who's like doing most of the killing. Debbie is kind of more like the brains of the operation. She's kind of the one who's more of the mastermind of the whole thing. And Curtis is kind of he's kind of like more like the muscle. If Debbie's the brains, Curtis is more like the muscle. And Steven is more like the one who is kind of like just there to kind of help everybody out and just kind of follow along and go with it. But yeah, they start going around. Like one thing that Curtis really likes to do is we find out that he likes to go around and find kids who like to park. Like there's like a scene where these teenagers, they park on the street in a van, and they get in the back of the van and decide to have some fun. Well, Curtis goes and he's like stalking them and watching them and things like that, and basically decides to put an end to them. But yeah, so these kids are going around killing people. One thing you're going to notice if you watch this movie, there's a very heavy Halloween influence in this movie. It definitely has a Halloween feel to it. There are scenes where like Joyce and Debbie's older sister, who's played by Julie Brown, the comedian, is in, she was in like Shakes the Clown. She was in a lot of movies, a lot of television. I think she even had her own show at one point. And back in the 80s, she recorded that song, Everybody Run, the Homecoming Queen has got a gun, that sort of. But yeah, this was kind of the first movie that she ever did. And, spoiler, but if you ever want to see Julie Brown nude, Julie Brown from the 80s, you want to see her nude, this is the movie to watch. But then she would also like co-write and star in movies like Earth Girls Are Easy, things like that. But so the kids, yeah, they're going around, they're killing people, but they're just kind of using what they have. Like, Debbie, she likes to strangle people with a jump rope, things like that. They're using like baseball bats and stuff. Well, Curtis knows that Debbie's father is the sheriff, and so you got kind of like this. There's like a scene where Debbie's older sister and Joyce are walking down the street, and the sheriff car pulls up. And like I said, it has very much like a Halloween feel to it. It almost feels like something you see in a Halloween movie. But anyway, so like he goes home and he's got like a gun cabinet that he puts his gun in for safety and things. And come to find out that Curtis becomes very, very taken with the idea of getting his hands on the father's gun. So they end up murdering the father and you know and he takes the gun. But what ends up happening, what they don't count on, what the three kids don't count on, is that Timmy, he ends up witnessing the kid. He doesn't exactly witness it. He almost witnesses the kids murdering Debbie's dad so that Curtis can get the gun. And because of that, they think that, Timmy might know a little bit too much. And so maybe he should be done away with. So they go ahead and, Curtis tries to devise a plan to get rid of Timmy. And it's I have to admit, it's a very suspenseful and very kind of grueling scene because, they go and they're playing hide and seek in not a graveyard, but a junkyard. And, at one point, Curtis tries to convince Timmy to get inside an old refrigerator and, but Timmy's like, no, if we do, the doors will close, it will suffocate. And he's like, oh, come on, you chicken, everything will be fine. So Timmy's like, well, okay, I guess. So, he climbs into the refrigerator. Curtis jumps out and closes the door and plans to let him suffocate to death. So it's like Timmy trying to get out of that. It's a very suspenseful and very, like I said, it's, very tense scene to watch. So, but then now that Timmy realizes that the kids are up to no, at first he thinks it might just be Curtis, but then as the movie progresses, he comes to find out that, yeah, Stephen and Debbie, they're kind of not very good kids either. And so he's, trying to convince his sister Joyce of it. And at first, of course, she doesn't believe him, but the two of them together start, unraveling the mystery of what's going on. And turns out that Joyce, she's very much into astrology. And she's the one who kind of puts the hint out there that maybe the solar eclipse has something to do with why these kids are the way they are and stuff. But the problem is the more that as they're uncovering these things, as the movie progresses, we realize that our three little hellions, they discover that, both Joyce and Timmy know too much. And if they don't want to get caught and they want their killing spree to continue, that, Timmy and Joyce need to be done away with. So they start trying to come up with a plan to do away with them. So I'm going to kind of leave it at that. And, this movie came out in 19. The thing is like, it says on here that, the last, they sure don't and can't make them like this anymore, which probably is true in this, in this day and age where everybody gets so easily offended by everything. It's like, yeah, probably. But, this movie, when it first came out in 1981, I mean, you already had like evil kid movies before this. You had The Omen, The Bad Seed. You had all different kinds of movies like this way before this came out. But this movie, it was controversial because, you're seeing scenes of little kids basically going around and murdering people. They're shooting people and strangling people, stabbing people, things like that. And, but then again, too, it's kind of like, well, that was the thing. Pretty much like back in the 80s, pretty much like any movie that had that kind of slasher horror movie vibe to it was controversial. So, but anyway, though, I enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I remember watching this when I was a kid and I was actually taken with it. And, I got to be honest with you, though, this movie is more about building suspense, creating tension. There is some blood, but I mean, if you're going into this hoping for, a blood and gore, just horror sprayathon and everything, you're not going to really get this with this movie. But, if you're into the slasher movies and you kind of want something that's a little bit different, and the idea of, kids going around murdering people, the movie, it's pretty well done, I think. It's not a bad film at all. The acting, I would say, for the most part, is solid. It doesn't feel like it's, I don't know. It's 85 minutes long. It doesn't really overstay its welcome. So, I mean, it's about average running time for a horror film. I would say, though, that the kids are, the three kids are kind of obnoxious and, so you kind of want to see these kids get their comeuppance. But overall, yeah, I mean, if you like killer kids movies, you like slasher movies, maybe the little hint of something extra to them, like like the whole astrology thing and how that plays into it. I would say, give Bloody Birthday a shot, but just like I said, just unfortunately, if you're expecting people to be like hacked apart limb from limb, you're not going to get that with this movie. But so anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much my review. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like. If you haven't already, go ahead and please subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different review every day of the week, and I'm the Saturday reviewer. So, yeah, great guys doing great stuff. So, anyway, take care, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.